No. Me get email.
I am. It's a bad addiction to it. I love them.
I love you too.
Tell me that.
Bladder
Oh,
issues.
really?
Mm-hmm. Whatever dies is in here.
That's great.
Colors.
Is
Is it working now? Bad.
Oh, great.
Sorry. That and Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
My favorite. Soft drink.
I guess maybe it's the yellow dye then.
I think it's yellow. Yellow number something or other.
We finally got the live streaming to come up. We were
Oh, number 5.
and it worked just fine and while ago, so we were trying to get it up and it wouldn't work. I
We
said,
probably
"Now
have stuff in here. I
we need to start."
don't have stuff in here any good for you either.
But it's what that's what we're practicing.
That was the one.
Yeah.
And they told me.
I'm not too worried about it.
I didn't give up everything they told me I should.
That's when I'll worry.
Get all those out now.
We're trying.
Then we gotta go in there. You want to take that in?
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Now, the girl might want Okay.
Well,
I think we need a remote so that we can turn that thing around.
Yeah.
That was a really expensive camera. We couldn't afford it.
But I want the control.
We've got one in the office. It mounts on the wall right there.
Yeah.
And it moves, the camera automatically moves to the speaker.
Oh,
So
yeah.
whoever's speaking, it
Well, see, that was
automatically
one
comes
of
on
the
the
real
speaker.
expensive cameras and.
It's real expensive.
Yeah, but it's, I mean,
Was-
it's slick.
Did you get a bill for, the,
Waste man?
fertilizing?
I don't think so. Who would it come from?
It would have came from,
Taylor?
Joe up here, no.
Taylor Landscape?
The only thing I gotta do that.
The, no, I give him
God.
They've come way down though. I mean, way down, especially with everybody's buying them now.
I think I would have knew.
You threw sign?
But they sent me a statement, just a reminder, but they usually send the bill here. Should have been about $700 something for fertilizing the area that they reseeded last year. It's 6:30, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the April 13, 2021 regular meeting of the Fairview Town Council. This time, Councilman Biggers will have our invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to gather here tonight. We thank you for the beautiful weather we've been having recently. We ask that you watch over us as we go about the town's business. Please lead us and guide us in the direction that the citizens of the town of Fairview would want us to go, and help us make good decisions. We ask that you be with our country as we continue to go through various issues, Please watch over the military. Please watch over the police force. Please lead and guide us to make good decisions as not only as citizens of Fairview, but as people. We ask all this in your name. Amen.
Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a presentation tonight from Allison Drake, who's a professional engineer and a highway group leader with RS&H, who's going to talk to us about the critical intersection program and also about the intersection Highway 601 and Reef Road. So, Allison.
Are you expecting to get started? Sorry for a little hard to hear.
That's okay. Yes, you can go now.
All right, well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members, for the opportunity to present to you today. I'm Allison Drake, and Scott Cole is here as well. We're with RS&H, and we are leading the effort with Union County on the Union County critical intersection analysis project. So we're here tonight for your awareness and information only, so we're not seeking any type of commitment or vote tonight. Our intention is just to inform you of the background of the study, where we are in the process, the alternatives for the US 601 and Reef Road intersection specifically, and then the next steps. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to Scott to kick us off.
Thank you, Allison. And you all have this information, these slides are in your packet, FYI. Union County is rapidly growing, as I'm sure you all aware. And this has led to increased congestion and safety concerns in the transportation network. In 2014, the county determined the need to conduct a critical intersection analysis that would allow the county and its municipalities to work together to be proactive about transportation improvements and compete for funding. The analysis began in 2016 when 54 intersections were identified for improvement. Out of these intersections, 15 were selected for additional study. Several of these intersections have been funded, and in 2019, the county elected to conduct a new study, which identified 15 additional intersections. 11 of these were selected for additional study. These intersections were studied last year in phase 1, and 5 intersections are being studied now in phase 2. This map shows 15 intersections. The intersections in gray were studied in phase 1, and the intersections in blue are being studied currently in phase 2, which includes the US 601 and Reef Road intersection. In studying these intersections, staff of Union County and the affected municipalities formed an advisory committee that includes the town of Fairview. Based on the data we gathered and the results from our analysis, 2 alternatives were developed for each intersection. We have just completed the public involvement stage, where we are engaging the public for feedback through virtual meetings as well as the online survey. We are now here, where we are compiling the results to be used to select a preferred alternative for each intersection. I thought this would be a good opportunity to present to you before any recommendations are made, which is basically our next step. Cost estimates and recommendations will then be compiled into a final report, which will be used to give Fairview and other municipalities a leg up to compete for funding for these projects. Final reports will be posted on the Union County website upon completion. As I pass the baton back over to Allison to discuss the alternatives for US 601 and Reef Road intersection, are there any questions so far?
Questions?
No, not yet.
All right, thank you, Scott. So I'm now going to show the website that we use to engage the public and receive their feedback. I know the screen is probably a little hard to see, the alternatives in detail, so if you're following along with the presentation in your packet, you should see, 2 pages there with the individual concept design. There's also a link on the PowerPoint and in your packet shown here. So if you want to review the concepts again or watch the recorded virtual, public meeting that we held at the intersection, you're welcome to do that. The US 601 and Greek Road intersection is currently 2-way stop control on the Greek Road approaches. Review of the crash history in this location showed that a large portion of the accident were vehicles turning from Greek Road approaches onto US 601. So this is likely from vehicles that have difficulty finding gaps in traffic to turn due to the congestion on US 601, especially during those peak hour traffic times. 2 alternatives were developed. So alternative 1 consists of 3-lane improvements, and alternative 2 is a single-lane route. Alternative 1 directed traffic delays with the addition of left turn lanes on both approaches of Greek Road. The traffic signal is not proposed for this location because the traffic volumes really don't justify signalization. But we are proposing intersection warning signs for all intersection approaches, so that would raise vehicle awareness and increase safety. This alternative allows full access to all the properties surrounding the intersection, but we do anticipate some right-of-way acquisition would be required, especially along those Greek Road approaches. NCDOT has a standard process for right-of-way acquisition, but again, this is not happening at this time because this project is yet. This alternative has a negligible reduction of crashes, however, it reduces peak hour vehicle delays by 45%. The approximate cost of this alternative is $670,000. So included in that cost are construction, right-of-way, engineering and design, and then construction inspection. These costs are in 2020 dollars, so they could go up with inflation before the project is actually funded. However, since we're early in the design process, we do put a lot of contingency in that cost, so this could actually bring the cost down when it's actually constructed. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here in case there's any questions regarding alternative.
Question so far?
Did you say that the traffic didn't justify a stoplight?
Yes.
Correct.
What, just for any idea what the cost would be of a traffic light as opposed to a roundabout?
Allison, he was asking if there's any idea of the cost of what a traffic light would be if they decided to do, if that was feasible to do that.
Yeah, I know those can kind of vary, and Scott, feel free to jump in here. You know, if you go for like the NASCAR poll, I think they could be closer to $100,000, but a traditional signal, I believe, would be much less than that. Scott, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, typically, signal is around $60,000 with poles. But signals, signals, what we say here, the signal's not recommended at this time because the signal has to meet warrants under the nationally adopted manual uniform traffic control devices. A lot of folks think that a traffic signal is a fix-all. The traffic signals help to remedy some problems, but result in other types of crashes, increasing like rear-end crashes. So we have to follow national guidelines when determining whether a traffic signal is warranted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and move over to alternative 2. If you're following along in your packet, alternative 2 addresses safety and traffic delays with a single lane roundabout. So this will create safety for vehicles turning off of Greek Road onto US 601 and improve congestion and vehicle delays. Access to all the properties surrounding the intersection will be maintained, and this alternative will require some right-of-way acquisition, but it will be mostly right at the intersection. So this alternative potentially reduces crashes by 50%, but reduces injury crashes by potentially 79%, and then reduces that peak hour vehicle delay by 89%. The approximate cost of this alternative is $2,480,000. So So I'll pause here again if there's any questions regarding this alternative.
Is this gonna be did you say it's gonna be a single or a double?
Single.
Just a
Single
single?
line roundabout, correct?
That's correct, yes. We did do a traffic analysis to determine, what would be warranted in terms of lanes, and we are looking at the playground up here.
The question is, if alternate one doesn't do anything, it doesn't reduce accidents or injuries,
Another question, did I hear
Yes,
you?
hold on just a moment.
why even consider alternate one if it doesn't do anything?
Councilman Biggers said that why even consider alternate one if it just doesn't really have anything? So,
Right, so alternative one does reduce some of that, that peak vehicle delay. So if you can see, and you should actually have a table in your packet if you're looking at that. So it does reduce that by 45 seconds. But unfortunately, from a safety perspective, because most of the crashes that we've seen are those cars coming off of Reef Road onto 601, it does not address that issue. What it really does is separate the turning vehicles so that someone turning right at the stop line. It is a lower cost.
Yeah, I can add to that, somewhat from a DOT perspective. Unfortunately, because what I mentioned about the signal warrant and the traffic volumes not being high enough, the DOT unfortunately is really not able to install a traffic signal identification. So really the roundabout is the preferred treatment, and the treatment that really will address safety.
thank you.
So this table, you see on the screen here, it just shows a comparison of the two alternatives in regard to how well they're expected to operate, perform from a safety perspective, and their approximate cost. And this table is also included in your packet. So I'll just pause one more time if there's any more questions on these alternatives in the table.
Allison, the last figures that I saw said that the roundabout was liked 3-1 over the turn signals from the members of the public. Is that still in line with what you're seeing?
Mayor Thomas said that the public was like 3-1 in favor of the roundabout. Is that still what you're seeing?
Yeah, I can double check that when we get to the presentation there, just to confirm. But it was looking a little bit more in favor of the roundabout last time I checked. But yeah, I'll check that again for the presentation.
There's no more questions.
So the next step in the critical intersection analysis is to evaluate the feedback we received from the public involvement and then select the preferred alternative for each intersection. The design concepts will then be finalized and presented to their corresponding municipal boards for approval. So for this intersection specifically, there will be a follow-up presentation in May to discuss the recommended alternative and then ask council for approval. Then finally, the city workbook and action plan will be completed for all these intersections. With the information provided by the workbook, the town and the county can consider potential funding sources and apply for funding. So thank you again for the opportunity to present to you this evening. Are there any additional questions? And Mayor, I'll look at your questions. If anyone else has any questions in the meantime.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
No, there's no more questions.
Yeah, let me pull up really quick. And I did send this over today, Mayor, a table just showing the public feedback summary. Let's go to my screen. So it looks like we received 52 responses from the public on this intersection, 37 were in favor of alternative 2 and 15 were in favor of alternative 1.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. We appreciate the opportunity to listen to you this evening.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Scott. Okay. Allison and Joan Hanson and I did meet up at Hot Mess on April 1st, just to try to get some additional feedback from the public. Just engaging the people who were there for lunch, just to get as much feedback as we could from the public. But we will vote on this in May. We will not vote on this tonight. We'll vote on it at the May meeting. Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. Did we go? We didn't do agenda changes. Okay, are there any changes to the agenda?
I think we can probably do what I've got in mind in council comments. I just like for us to discuss the one of the bills that's in the House now about the zoning state taking over the RA40 single family zoning, where they can put more than one house on the property area.
Duplexes,
Yeah,
quadruplexes,
yeah, all that.
condos.
That's something we need to,
We need to be
discuss a
active
little
with our legislators on that too.
yeah, it's one of the things I wanted to mention when it came up, but I'm bringing it up in council comments.
Okay. Any changes to the agenda? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Well, we're approving the regular agenda first. Make that the regular agenda.
Okay, move we approve the regular agenda.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Motion carries. We'll move to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? And the consent agenda is approved.
Do we have any public comment?
Do we have any public comments?
Ed, did anybody sign up? No, nobody.
I don't see anybody there.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll move to number 4, items of business. Item number 1, discuss a major development permit, number MS 20-097, requested by Drew Helms Construction for a conditional zoning district to build 8 single-family homes in 11.96 acres located on Brief Road East.
I will get the conversation started on that before the public hearing. But like it introduced Doug Helms, Lou Helms, and Gary Brooks. Like the mayor said, this is a major subdivision request by the Helms Construction. It is the process which the Helms went through with the traditional use district process, which means they met with the community. They met here, approximately 20 people came. As I remember, there is nobody that was against the subdivision. There was questions concerning it. The next step was the process went to the planning board. The planning board did have some concerns at first. It was rescheduled, came back to the planning board, and planning board heard the request, and they did vote to recommend it, 3-4, 4-3 in favor of recommending the subdivision to the council. Let me do some minor changes with you. On page 36, if you will, the mayor and I found several things that, on the top line where it says conditional use, it should be conditional zoning permit. On the last two comments, must go through the conditional zoning process. The last paragraph was yes, major development. This is a major subdivision permit process, not special use. Next, page 37, a little typo in that the last comment on the conditions that go with the permit was to be a street to be paved by DOT standards requirements, and that will require a bond until the pavement is complete. Pretty straightforward subdivision. I think it does add one thing that we're excited about, or I am. It does provide a street, an interior street, which that interior street will be built to state standards and paved. So that's an addition. There's 8 lots. Well, and septic tank, of course, for all lots. Like to get to the questions of the planning board. They were a little bit varied there. There were questions about could internet service be provided to the community. There was a question about county water. Could it be provided to the community? Both of those cases are no, not too far away. There were other comments stating that the lots, being that the septic fields are in the middle of the property and the lots around the fields, it looked gerrymandered, that's a big word, forced, and also contorted. In other words, the lots look different than what you normally would see a lot look like, a rectangular, you know, long or square lot. I think that's true, and in the future we'll look at streamlining that look, if you will. Our requirement is to have the septic field on the same lot. I think that's important. Also think the well is important on the same lot. Lots can be configured in different ways, but on a map it looks much different than it does on the ground. So, with that said, questions?
On the lines, septic line's gonna be running across through other properties.
I'll let Gary answer this question too. Most of them not, but some
Most of them not.
could be on a couple lots.
Right, but on lot 8, because lot 8 backs up to the woods and the creek, we created an easement behind lot 7. So instead of getting down close to the creek, out with the setback, the rear setback of lot 7, so if you come across the rear of that, a short distance.
So even though lot 8 is actually shown wrapping around to the lot 8 septic, there's not enough room because of the creek. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
there probably is, but because it's inside the setback, let's go ahead and create additional area for access of ease. Get the septic line over through there, because you're talking very small, that's a very small line in there. Instead of going down and trying to meander around the trees and creek banks and all the other stuff, it's like, make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
I have a question about, lot 1. Will the driveway go to Reef Road or to the road that's being constructed?
It will go to the new road being constructed. Explain that a little bit in detail too. The road, as I said, was to be built by Cynthia Peace. It will probably be built, and I'm talking out of turn, you know more about this than I do, but the road will be built, gravelled, the constructions will happen, and at some point, the construction or Drew will come back and pave that road. After he gets it approved and we approve it, until he pays it, he is required to put up a performance bond. to make it pay.
How much of a bond?
125% of the cost.
Any other questions for Ed before we have the public hearing? Okay, at this time, we'll open the public hearing for public comments. Do we have any public comments? Okay, come to the mic and state your name, please.
Hi, all. My name's Alex, live at 9316 Concord Highway. We're here with you guys during the big 4-hour council town hall meeting when they're discussing the rezoning of R40. And with major subdivisions, I want to know if they're going to be including curbs and not traffic lights, neighborhood lights, and what exactly you guys are going to require of developments that are considered major developments moving forward.
We're still working on that. We haven't come up with definitive things that we're going to include. Some of the things that we may include will depend on the number of lots in the subdivision and whether or not there's an internal street or whether there are driveways coming off the street. We've talked about it, but we haven't come to any conclusions on that as far as what we'll require for major subdivisions. We're still working on that.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Okay, this time we'll close the public hearing and I'll open the floor for any discussion, concerns, motion on the decision.
I just got concerned with septic lines running across other lots and, you know, I know they do this to get that extra lot in there, but I had serious questions about that on one of their other properties that they had. And I made a comment at that time. I never vote to approve another one that didn't have them on their own lots. I just have a problem with that. And these are some beautiful looking lots the way they're cut up.
Well, the lots are unusual shapes. Our ordinance requires lot sizes of one house per 40,000 square feet. It complies with that. Our ordinance does not say anything about the shape of the lot. So I don't think we can legislate what the shape of the lot has to be, although these do look, they do look kind of funny. But by the same token, people don't have to buy those lots or the houses on those lots if they choose not to. People are looking for a place to live in Fairview. If you don't believe it, put your house up for sale and see how fast it'll sell. People don't want high density subdivisions, so this is a low density subdivision, 8 houses on a little less than 12 acres. So that's just where my head is on it. But people are looking for places to live in Fairview.
I do have a question in reference to what Jerry was talking about. My assumption would be that you can run the sewer lines in the setback area. You got a 40-foot setback.
Yes.
You could run a setback line back there, and yeah, it's gonna run through somebody's lot, but it's in an area where there can be no construction in that setback.
Right.
I would think that's what y'all would do. That's an assumption.
Now, who actually owns the lots that the septic is on?
The lot owner, the same, the 8 goes with 8, 1 goes with 1.
Yeah, if you follow those lot lines, the lots go with the septic area as well. Because when I first looked at that, I thought, wait a minute. But then I started following the lot lines and I saw that they do run with the lots and the septic lot.
So I guess to clarify what's been said about the crossing the individual lots, like I'm looking at the back part of 7, it's got the line that says 25 feet sewer line easement. Okay, the lot itself goes, that straight line is beyond that, correct? Am I reading that right?
Yes.
So, so I guess the question would be is 2 things. Is 1, what John said, why would you have not run it down the setback and avoid that to begin with? Or 2, this might be a crazy question, but if you shorten the length of that lot to where it's part of the setback and not part of the lot, is that not being considered because people lose that amount of property, or what is the rationale for either one of those?
Okay, the rear property line is established and based off that rear property line supports a setback, a rear setback. And in doing that, creates a house pad 60 by 60 comfortably within the lot 7 area. By shortening it, it's going to bring that rear property line closer into lot 7 and thus creating a smaller 60 by 60 area, or a smaller area you can put a 60 by 60 building pad in. But by leaving it where it's at and creating a lot 8 with 25-foot sewer line easement in the 40-foot rear setback, just to allow lot 8 to access his sewer line without disrupting the vegetation or minimizing the disruption of vegetation. It just enhances everything.
Other comments or questions?
And one quick question, I guess just to clarify in my mind, let's make the assumption that the people on lot 8, there's a problem with the sewer line going through lot 7. If there's a problem with the line itself, whose problem is it?
It'd be lot 8.
Lot 8, so they're responsible
Yeah.
for, even though it's on 7's property, it's lot 8's responsibility.
Because the septic area easement is just allowing an easy access for lot 8 to put the line accessible to the septic field. So, I mean, if something happens to the line on lot 7, I mean, obviously, well, lot 8 would be responsible for it because they're not getting septic or something's wrong with it or whatever, so they need to fix it.
Well, I assume this is pretty a common thing that happens. I mean, the lines run across somebody else's lot. Based on your experience,
It is a thing.
what is it ever become an issue that you're aware of to where 7's not happy with 8 and vice versa? Because there is an understanding when they buy the lot that that's what happens. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, because it's gonna, when a lot is sold, it'll be sold relative to the map. And the map shows the incumbent on it, showing septic easement there, so it goes with the lot itself.
And looking at the topos on this, it looks like you're probably going to end up having to pump the sewer to most of these lots.
Here, I like what they did with that easement because it goes to what he was saying. When you look at lot 8, 7, 6, and 5, without that easement, that house is gonna be pushed forward, and then you can almost, if you drew where the houses would go, you would kind of see a sequence of how they would go in a line. The lots look goofy, but I think that once you get the houses in there, they're gonna kind of flow until you get over into the other side, and then they're gonna be jutted out a little bit, but the flow of those four houses kind of go together in a row.
Let me make one comment on the sewer line itself. If there is a problem on the sewer line, environmental health has control of it. In other words, it won't be the bickering between two property owners. Environmental health will control who fixes what.
Well, in this case, there's no, from what you're saying, environmental health can't make 7 fix it because it's 8's line.
So if there is a problem with a septic line,
Right.
environmental health has control over it. Jurisdiction over it. If you require not to fix it, you say, well, I'm not gonna fix it.
And say, yes, you are.
It can cause problems if whoever fixes it don't clean it up and get the yard back or the area back as clean as it was. It cause some hard feelings between neighbors. And we're getting people moving down here all the time that are getting more and more particular about things.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, I'll open the floor for a motion to approve or disapprove.
I'd like to make a motion that major development permit MS 20-097, request of a Drew Helms Construction, be approved, include the following conditions, and it's found to be reasonable and consistent with the recommendation of the town's adopted comprehensive plan, the town of Fairview land use plan provided March 9, 2021, the town of Fairview land use ordinance effective July 1, 2005.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Set to include the conditions recommended by the planning board.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
I'm gonna vote for it, since the neighbors in the area have no problem with it. But I'm gonna push to have our zoning changed to where this kind of stuff don't go on no more.
The motion carries. Okay, move to item 2, approve 2021 audit contract with J.B. Watson and Company. Darryl?
Okay, I recommend that we approve the audit contract with J.B. Watson. I think they've done a good job now for 2 or 3 years. The first year we had them, I think they were a little bit slow in reacting, but the last few years have been very good, and their price is the same as last year, assuming that we use 6 hours for them to make any adjustments or accounting entries that need to be made.
Okay. Any discussion?
What was the price again?
$85.30. And that's assuming 6 hours of
Yeah,
accounting.
7 to 6 hours.
Yeah, same as last year.
And you're pleased with them, right?
Yeah, I think they do a good job.
I've been pleased with what I've seen of them versus the predecessor, who couldn't get it done on time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the 2021 audit contract with J.B. Watson.
I make a motion to approve the 2021 audit contract with J.B. Watson and Company.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? And the motion carries. Item 3, I wanted to discuss forming a social media committee. We had a social media committee back several years ago consisting of Mary Ann Cuthbertson, Jesse Hargett, and myself. And that's when we decided to have a Facebook platform for the town. And looking at what some other towns are doing, there's a lot of other social media platforms that are out there. What I would like to do is to get some volunteers to serve on a social media committee and come back to the town council with either a recommendation, no, we don't need anything else, or yes, it would be good to have something like Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Nextdoor. I'm the first to admit that I don't know about all these various social media platforms, but I'd like to get someone in the town. Mary Ann has agreed to serve again. I'd like to get possibly 4 other people, maybe a committee of 5 to come up with suggestions, or maybe the suggestion is, no, you don't need anything else. We're not big enough to have anything else. But I'd like to form a social media committee, and Teresa has an application form that'll be on the website. So if anyone who would like to serve on that committee, if they'll fill out an application, bring it back to Teresa, and then council can vote on it and decide who we want on that committee. Comments?
Sounds good to me. I think it's something we need.
Okay. Well, I'll entertain a motion to form a social media committee.
I so move.
Okay, we got a motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay. And Teresa, if you'll just bring those back to us when you get people who want to serve on that committee. Okay, we'll move to council comments. Patricia?
I just wanted to comment, thanking all of the committee that worked on the egg hunt. It was just a fabulous event, well organized, well attended. I was just proud to see that we were doing such a fantastic event, and so many people, when they saw my yellow shirt, they were thanking me for what the town was doing for the community. So I thought it was a good thing.
And I'll second that. I had a lot of people come up to me and talk about what a great thing that was for the town to do for the community. John?
No.
Jerry?
I've been reading on the about literature and stuff I get from different government printings, and the state has a motion filed to change the single family zoning, for the state to take over single family zoning, and to change it to where you could put in multiple family homes, like duplexes, condos on the property, regardless of what the city wants to do. In other words, the state zoning will override the town zoning, our zoning. Something like that would have killed us a few months ago. And you read that, I know.
Yeah.
You might can explain it a little better than I can. I got tied up today. I wanted to run a copy of that off and so I could read it, but I didn't get a chance.
What they're trying to do is they want to do away with conditional zoning, which we just set up in 2019, so that you can't put conditions on zoning. They want to, and it's under the guise of providing affordable housing. That's what the mantra is. We want to provide affordable housing. So therefore, rather than allowing the towns to come up with what they want in their zoning and in their lot sizes and that type thing, for example, RA40 or R40, you'd be allowed to do not only one home per acre, but you'd also be allowed to do duplexes, triplexes, quadruplexes, condos. So this is in the legislature now, so you may want to do some research, and I think there's a Senate bill and a House bill, if I'm not mistaken. But it would be very detrimental particularly to Fairview and to other towns, to be able to not control their zoning, which is basically what that would involve, in my opinion.
And I call it, first time it came out from the newsletter from the League of Municipalities, and I get that email from them every week, sometimes a couple times a week. And I think that us as a town ought to send a letter, with the entire council opposing it to our legislators. I just wonder if that wouldn't be better suited than us doing it individual. I think they'd probably read a letter from the town quicker than they'd read a letter from, us.
It wouldn't hurt.
That's if everybody on the council feels the way I do, that, we want to control our own zoning, and they're using it, as Phil says, as affordable houses, but your building industry is behind this. They're pushing this big time. And I just, it hadn't hit the floor yet, hadn't been voted on yet. I don't think we need to drag our feet on it. I think we need to do something and do it fast and let them know that we're totally against it.
I'm fine with writing a letter to them and getting all of us to sign on to it. And I would suggest that all of us also call your legislators, write letters individually, emails. Because I don't think that's something that, I know it's not something that the town of Fairview wants.
What does which holds more weight, a letter from the town or for the town to pass a resolution condemning what they want to do? Which has more weight?
Well, they probably would not see the resolution. I don't think it would hurt to do a resolution. Contact with the legislators, I think is
A combination of the two?
Yeah. I think it's important to make sure that the legislators hear us, both individually and as council.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
Yeah, we got a park cleanup schedule. We finally got the band to set up a date. I believe that's 24th, was it not, Teresa?
Yes.
Which
April
would
24th at 8 o'clock.
be a week from this Saturday, if I looked at my calendar right. We want to put it on our webpage that we're going to announce it and ask for any volunteers that want to come. I have people at the park at night when I go up there, always telling me, I'll say something about we need to do this or do that, and we're going to have a cleanup day. Well, let us know. We'll come and help. Now, some of them may come and some of them may not, but we got some problems that we really need to address. We got a major problem with the spillway. I argued with them when they put that riprap in there. First off, I told them it was too high, and they said, no, the water will filter through them rock. I said, they will until them rock fill up with leaves, and we're going to have a problem. Oh, no. We got the problem. The water can't filter through the rock anymore. So we're going to have, and the only way I know to get in there, especially with the bridge there, is to get in there manually. If we can get a couple volunteers, just go in there and toss rock. Drop that spillway down because it's backing up into the grass. In other words, at full pond, we're about 4 inches above full pond, and it takes a week of no rain to ever get it back down to the level of the banks.
Yeah, I've noticed it's awfully high when I've been up there walking. Anything else?
That's all I've got.
Could I ask a question? Do you know, is there a bill number? Has that issue with the
Yes,
state overriding the
Patricia,
town?
if you will.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got it on an email.
If you don't get the leagues, the email from the League of Municipalities, you ought to get it. Especially this time of year, because they'll inform you of any bill that's coming, that's being presented, that's gonna affect the towns, whether it's good for them or bad for them. They will have it listed on it.
Anyone who would like to come help with the park cleanup, you're certainly welcome to do so.
I have a comment on the legislative stuff.
Pardon me?
I have a comment on the legislative stuff that you were talking about a second ago. You're talking about sending a letter as a town, but also one of the things we encouraged when we were fighting the big development was to send letters to the environmental. But a lot of people don't know how to compose their own letters. So if you as a town are already gonna compose a letter, maybe you also compose a template that we can release on Facebook and social media and stuff, so that we can send it to the town members, not just in Fairview, but Unionville, New Salem, all of our areas, that they can then say, here's your list of email addresses, copy and paste it, put your name, put your info, and change it if you want to.
We need to put it on our Facebook.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good idea.
That's
And the
what we
town
do, like as
website.
our teacher unions, they send us out templates and then we can send it to legislators.
You sound like a good choice to be on that committee, that social media
I'll
committee.
put an application.
Because there's a lot, I think that's great, because we are missing ways to get that information out to people by website and just Facebook. So
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Gary?
Yeah, I guess I'm just confused on the presentation about the 601 and Brief Road. The rationalization, they didn't even consider a light, because one piece didn't justify it. And then they get 670,000 to do the turning lanes, and they elected to go with 2,480,000 for a roundabout, and we can't even get the grass mowed in front of the houses because they don't have money to do it.
Well, I'm not.
We're having to pay more around
When they
there.
do come mow it, they don't mow it right.
So I just don't understand the rationale to where, I've probably even been to that intersection 5 times in the 36 years I've been living in this community, so I don't really know. John can tell me more about it. But you look at the traffic light at Lawyers Road, 601, it was justified to do it there, and I would think that Brief Road is busier than Lawyers Road. So I just don't understand the rationale for why they want to do that. I don't know.
I mean, I know that they looked at it because it was based off of the accident reporting part of it. There's an accident there every week, basically. There's an accident, and the problem is with that intersection, when there's an accident there, it's a serious accident, because typically somebody's pulling out into 601 and somebody's going 55 plus. And
Well, Lawyers and 601 is the very same thing.
Yeah.
I was walking across the grill parking lot one day, and parts came flying past me from that. We had at least one a weekend, we hit the town at least, and they've got a traffic light, and they said, well, a traffic light would be $60,000 to $100,000 to put in the traffic light. It seems to me, I mean, if we have any inputs, like to me, that for $100,000, they could try it.
Yeah, I didn't understand something about the jurisdiction of the stoplights or something. I didn't quite understand that whole
I
issue.
don't understand it. It doesn't.
I know that there's criteria that they have to use to justify a stoplight,
And it didn't.
and it didn't meet
Like you
that.
said, it didn't meet.
It didn't meet that criteria.
Would allow one.
Yeah, the biggest issue down there is the traffic going from basically south to north. It's a downhill curve. And typically, when people, you're kind of watching the traffic, you're watching mainly this way to see if anybody's coming when you're going across. You don't see them until it's too late the other way, because it curves and then downhill. So that's when these bad accidents are happening, unfortunately.
Why don't they put a marker like they did Grove Road and Lawyers, like on those 2 stop signs?
Something. Yeah.
I mean, that would help
something.
tremendously.
$2 million, they could put a big bumper.
Yeah.
They got one on Brief Road coming from my side.
That's,
On that side of the road is rough as piece of
that,
highway in Fairview.
So that's one of them that's gonna get,
Supposed to get paved.
this year, yeah.
But if they do it right, it'd be nice. They do it like they did last time. And, you know, all they did last time was just put some tar down and put a little gravel down, and then come back and put a little sealant on top of that. And that was the extent of it.
Yeah.
Part
of the reason, Gary, for the way they do those things, it's like John said, it's all about the number of accidents. And unfortunately, I've had discussions with DOT in the past about, because I spent 40 plus years in risk management, and you look at the risk and you look at the accidents. But unfortunately, that's not the way that the DOT works. If you don't have the accidents, it doesn't matter what the risk is. Because I tried to get them to do something with this intersection at Unionville Brief in 218. They said they don't have enough accidents. Well, the reason is because people are avoiding the risk by going around.
so what you're saying is do your job, go have a wreck.
Yeah. The more wrecks you have, the better chance you got of having
Take
intersection.
Take one for the county, or take one for the town.
A lot of people go to Sykes Mill when they leave the church. A lot of our church members go that way to Sykes Mill.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it all comes down to data. The number of accidents, that's what gets things done. And if they're bad enough, then they'll get done under the safety initiative and won't make it into this program. That's what they're doing with that intersection close to your house. That one made it because of the safety initiative, because they had so many accidents. So they moved it up to the top of the list, and I guess the DOT is going to pay for that one.
No, that was my only comments. I just don't understand the rationale.
It's data driven. That's about all I can tell you. Mr. McCollum, do you have anything?
Well, I do have a legislative story.
Okay.
A couple of months ago, you might recall, I asked you about supporting a bill to allow each town to declare emergency and have a virtual meeting because present law, it can only be held when if the governor or legislature declares an emergency. And the attorney for Monroe was the one that was pushing it, and it asked for our support, and we agreed to support it. The bill was drafted, it was sent to the legislature, it went through the local government commission and other approval till it got to the House. And for some reason, Representative Art didn't want a statewide bill. And so they tried to ask him to put those, to allow Union County, the towns that had supported it, to remain in the bill. And the long shot of it, when it got through, for whatever reason we don't know, he only allowed or wanted the city of Monroe to have it. So they were the only ones that are still in the bill. I don't know why they didn't want anybody else to have it, or why it was opposed by some of the members of the legislature.
Doesn't make any sense. Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I know we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
That's the one.